Hi, everyone. This is Joe Nettis. I'm the Executive Director of Family Promise of Waukesha County. I'm very fortunate to be with Sarah Scherer from Help Us Move In. Help Us Move In has just granted us a grant of $10,000 to help with prevention programming. And so we wanted Sarah to tell you a little bit about Help Us Move In and the focus of this grant. And so nice to be with you, Sarah. We're very excited and feel very humbled and honored to receive the HUME grant. And I thought maybe you could just start and tell us a little bit about the mission of Help Us Move In.
Well, thanks for having me, Joe. I appreciate it. I'm really excited to be able to be part of giving the grant to Waukesha County, mostly because I was born in Rockford, Illinois, and so I grew up in that area, and I know that there is a need in the Midwest, so I'm excited to be able to offer a Help Us Move In grant in the Midwest. Cool thing about Help Us Move In is we started in 2015 giving grants to different locations. But before that, it started in a church, First United Methodist Church of Olympia in Washington State. And I worked with them as the homeless liaison for Olympia School District. So I had a program that worked with students experiencing homelessness and was able to call the First United Methodist Church when I had a family that was ready to move into permanent housing. So with deposits, I could call the church up and they would write a check directly to the landlord. And what's great is the welcome room program would thank the church quite often by making these big banners that they would hang up. And the initial original name that they named it was the Homeless Children Fund. And the children didn't like that name very much. So when they would make the thank you banners, they didn't particularly like to put the name on there. So in 2007, this all started in 2000. And in 2007, the students that were making the thank you banner said, we don't really like that name. We wish it was a different name. And I said, well, if you could change it, what would you change it to? And after some brainstorming and a vote, they decided they liked Help Us Move In. And they felt like it was a more positive spin. It wasn't defining them as homeless children. Instead, it was saying an action of what they were doing. And in 2015, they asked me to take this on the road. So I left the school district and we began to give out grants to agencies that already provided services to families with housing crisis. So the funds were intended for working with families with children and helping them move out of homelessness. So first, last, and deposit, or to remain housed with prevention funds so that they did not become homeless.
That's wonderful. And one of the things that really struck me about Help Us Move In is it's a really unique model of granting and engaging the local community. Are you able to talk a little bit about how the process works and how just the granting works?
Well, we decided instead of just giving out money, that we would use our funds, our donation, as a way to leverage other funding. So what we've done is planted a seed in different communities, and we hope to watch that seed grow with the support of the community. So in this unique matching model, we ask that the agency first get $10,000, secure $10,000, either through their community, through a local business, service organization, a private donor. And then once that's secured, we send 10,000, giving the agency 20,000 to then challenge their community to match it, so that they at least have 40,000 that first year to support the program. And all those funds are not only matched, but they're also 100% dedicated to the cause. And that means that all the funds are only able to be spent for housing stability for families locally. So local families that need help either moving out of homelessness or prevent homelessness.
It's phenomenal. And for us, we just started our prevention programming in April, really as a result of the pandemic. But as feeling relatively new in getting this started, this is just such a huge boost for us. And it's a great way for us to engage others. And we're just so grateful for your support. We've seen certainly an increase in need. And I'm just wondering, with your national perspective, how are you seeing the needs in the country, particularly because of COVID?
Well, I think a lot of families are impacted by COVID in different ways. And I think definitely those that are renting and have lost hours because of it, because they weren't essential or have actually been laid off and trying to live off of unemployment for the time that they could. Um, we are seeing a definite increase, and it's impacting not only those who were already struggling, but it's also impacted new families that have never struggled before. And so that, I think, is the biggest change, because there were many families that were impacted that have never had to be in this position previously, and maybe didn't know how to reach out or who to ask for help. And so I've seen that personally across the board all over in different locations in the United States, where I'm hearing about teachers who, are have lost some of their, hours, or lost some of their funding, and they're not able to make the mortgage, or they're not able to make the rent, and had to reach out because of it. But it's not just a certain demographic anymore. It's not a certain population anymore. It's everyone.
Yeah.
And so I think that it would be hard to say that it hasn't impacted most of the United States in one way or another.
Yeah. I think my perception was, of course, we'd be helping renters, but it was a little sobering when we started receiving applications for help with mortgages. To me, that was just an example of how deep the economic crisis has gotten for folks, and worry about the future, and absolutely need the support of HUMI to make this work, to help people stay in their home. It's so important, I think, too, when you think about just the stability that offers families without having to change where they're living, or if they have a place to live, and schools for the kids, all those things that go into it.
Well, I think that if there is a silver lining to all of this, it would be in that it's brought the attention to the need, not only for home being healthy, and healthy being home. I think that those two things go hand in hand across the board, but it really brings light to that, and to people who may not have thought of it that way before. You have to be quarantined, where if you don't have a home, you can't do that. And if you have to stay home to be healthy and you don't have a home, what does that mean? And especially with this distant learning, especially with students, if you're living in a motel with six siblings and all your things, what does that look like for your education? I think it really brings the attention needed for the struggles that that students already had in the first place when they were experiencing homelessness. But now people can really understand it, and it's really present in our everyday lives. So
So, just curious, how long have you been working with Family Promise?
we started giving grants to Family Promise in 2016. We
Okay.
initially started in the state of Washington with two, Family Promise of Spokane and Family Promise of Skagit Valley. When those were successful, we reached out to Family Promise National, and we did a pilot program in 2017 and gave 10 grants. And these are 2-year grant cycles. So we do 2 years exactly the same. We give 10,000 the first year and 10,000 the second year. But the model is exactly the same the second year. And we do that on purpose to create a habit of giving within the community, and also to give you a foundation of support within your community so that you can create something that is sustainable. So our goal is to help you be here for a very long time with this program. We're just going to be here 2 years, but after that, we hope that you've engaged community support to keep it going forever.
Love
So,
that. I love that phrase, a habit of giving, just making it a part of who we are, and
mhm,
recognizing the importance of generosity and contributing to the community, to particularly folks who are vulnerable.
mhm.
Um,
Well, and also, can I just say that we love the fact that this is just a part of your program, and so in doing this advertising for this small portion of what you are offering the community, this program, this prevention side, it also highlights all the other great work that you're already doing in the community. So it might introduce the Family Promise as a whole to
Mhm.
the community that never knew you before.
Yeah. And that is very important for us too. We're still a relatively, I feel like a relatively young affiliate of Family Promise. We've only been serving families since 2014. And that's still pretty new. And so I think the opportunity to be able to share with people and tell the story of the families we're serving,
Mhm.
not to pat ourselves on the back, but so that people have an awareness and a sensitivity to how challenging it can be. And quite frankly, I don't think it has to be this way. I think that's why we're here, is to make sure that homelessness isn't becoming prevalent, that we're able to blunt the effects of it.
What's great is, I've been working with childhood homelessness for a long time, and my goal in bringing this across the country is to raise awareness to it, because a lot of people forget that children are involved and they're the highest growing population of homelessness. And so if we can raise awareness that it is something that is not only prevalent but growing every day, and do something about it, I think that everybody wants to be part of a solution. Nobody wants to see children experiencing homelessness and all the trauma that comes from that. And so if we can raise awareness to it and stop it, and the only way we're going to do that is by joining together in the effort.
Yeah. And we know you're doing great work, and we're honored to be a part of it. Maybe we should conclude. How do you see the effectiveness of HUME playing out, or any success stories that you've been able to witness?
I think there's many success stories I can talk about, but I think the greatest success is when an affiliate does not already have something established, a program established within their program for prevention or housing stability, and watching us plant the seed within that community and seeing it grow, and having new donors come, new doors open, that highlights the program as a whole, that can not only be sustainable in years to come, but also celebrated by the community. Because the way that we have set this matching program up is that not only is the community doubling their impact, they're not just helping one child, they're helping two, but they're also able to see that it is helping those local children. The impact of how many is, you're going to broaden your population of who you're going to be able to help. And because we are a flexible funder, you're going to be able to catch families that maybe don't fall into other funding, that can't qualify for that, like those teachers. Maybe they make a little bit too much and can't qualify for other funding, but they still need your support.
Mm. Well, Sarah, thank you so much. Tomorrow, we begin our matching process on Giving Tuesday. And so we're hoping that everyone who watches this is willing to help out and know that they're making an impact, in partnership with HUME and in partnership with our other sponsors, changing the lives of families and children. And that's really wonderful and humbling to be a part of this. Um, the other thing,
It
Sarah,
definitely takes a village. It
it
takes a village.
absolutely does. But Sarah, thank you again for your time. This is wonderful, and thank you for the support that HUME is giving Family Promise of Waukesha County. We deeply appreciate it, and we look forward to working with you these next 2 years.
Thank you so much, Joe.